She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Thursday night that has Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. The Indiana Pacers looking to close out the New York Knicks tonight at Madison Square Garden. Of course, whoever wins that series will now take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who absolutely destroyed Minnesota last night to win the Western Conference. Indiana looking to close out New York tonight. We'll keep you updated. Edmonton and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals in the NHL. Dallas looking to stay alive. Edmonton looking to end that series tonight. Whoever wins in that series will take on the Florida Panthers, who advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals one night ago. I believe the third consecutive year that the Florida Panthers did indeed advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. We got Jaguar news. The Hunt. A new episode came out earlier this evening on Jaguars.com. Again, terrific work by everybody involved at Jaguars.com. It was absolutely sensational. If you have not watched it yet, it's about 37, 38 minutes. I think you'll really enjoy it. Kind of a behind-the-scenes look at how the Travis Hunter trade came together, inside the war room, all that. I just got done watching it, and that's going to lead me to one of my, I guess, the big deal of the night coming up in a moment. But Denmark, let's not bury the lead here, man. Lesser sports radio hosts the night before a 10-day getaway. I will not be back here until Monday, November the 9th, I don't think. Pumped. Yeah. I mean, look, lesser sports radio hosts, they'd mail it in, man. You know, they'd do a Mount Rushmore show, or they would do, you know, what are the other ones? Sports movies, right? That was always a good one. Not here. Not on Hacker After Dark. We're going to get you to the finish line, all right? It
has begun.
Yes. We're going to take you up till 10 o'clock Eastern, and at that point, we're going to say bon voyage until Monday, June 9th. But until 10 o'clock Eastern, I'm here for you, man. That's what it's all about, and I'm glad you're here with me on a Thursday night in Jacksonville, Florida. Every night on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night, and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So if I were to ask you who... And let me preface it by saying this. I'm not trying to stir up anything. I'm not trying to cause any issues. I'm just curious, because I've heard from numerous people today when I asked this question, numerous answers. And I'm curious, and I put it on a poll question. Always love when things are on a poll, in this case, a Twitter question. At Ryan Green 1010XL. Again, Ryan Green is what it says on my birth certificate. I know most of you know me as Hacker, but Ryan Green 1010XL is where you find me on Twitter/X. Only two answers, or only two choices, I guess, for your answer. Who is the current face of the Jacksonville Jaguar franchise? And by current, I mean tonight, May 29th, 2025. Is it Trevor Lawrence? Or is it Travis Hunter? I know who the most important player is, right? Most important player is Trevor Lawrence. That's not debatable. That's not even a conversation. That's not even close. Face of the franchise doesn't necessarily mean the most important. If it was most important, it would obviously be Trevor. That's not the question. The question is, who is the face of the Jaguar franchise? Go on my Twitter. Vote. I'm curious. You have one of two options. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. I just watched 38 minutes of The Hunt on Jaguars.com. There are no spoilers here. Won't give too much away. But I can tell you this. It's basically all James Gladstone, a sprinkling of Tony Baselli, a sprinkling of Liam Cohen, and Travis Hunter. I told you guys this last night. You know, when I do these out-of-market radio interviews, like I was on yesterday morning with our guys up at WGR Radio in Buffalo, I was asked 2 or 3 Travis Hunter questions before I was asked a Trevor Lawrence question. And that's been pretty repetitive for the last 5 weeks since the draft, whenever you talk with somebody outside the Jacksonville market. Now, again, July, August, certainly September, that narrative will probably change because we all know this season is going to be a bust, be a success, or anywhere in the middle based on how Trevor Lawrence performs. He is by far and away the most important player on the Jacksonville Jaguars, as the starting quarterback is for basically every NFL team. But is he the face of the franchise right now, or is it the guy they traded up to get, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Colorado? Is it Travis Hunter? My thought is this. All right? When you're asking me who the face of the franchise is between Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter, right now on May 29th, 2025, it's Travis Hunter. I don't know how you could really debate that. He's the first question I get when talking about the Jaguars. He's the guy that all of you want to go see during rookie mini camp, and I'm willing to bet he'll be the guy all of you want to go see the first week or so of training camp. He's going to be on all the Jaguar marketing moving forward. You already see him, out and about in the community doing his thing. We had Isaiah Johnson of Christ Church Academy on earlier this week on Hacker After Dark. We saw that video go viral with Travis Hunter going to greet him in a backyard here in Jacksonville. Travis Hunter is a star. I remember telling you guys this a week or so ago. I am not the youngest guy. I'm 41. I'm not elderly, but I'm not in that social media world outside of, say, Twitter and Facebook. I'm pretty good there. But Instagram and all this other stuff, I had no idea what a force of nature Travis Hunter was off the football field in that social media world. I do now. I didn't a couple of weeks ago. Whew. He is a force of nature in that department. And I just think it's interesting that the arrival of Travis Hunter and all the talk about Travis Hunter has maybe taken a little pressure off of Trevor Lawrence this offseason. Certainly in the last month, right? I don't get many questions about how Trevor Lawrence is looking out there at OTAs. I don't get many questions about how Trevor Lawrence is doing with his footwork. I don't get many questions about Trevor Lawrence building his timing and chemistry back after the shoulder injury and the concussion last year. But I do get a ton of questions about Travis Hunter. Again, I'll ask you this question in training camp. It might be a completely different answer. My answer will probably change. Right now, May 29th, 2025. Question isn't the most important. Most important is clearly Trevor Lawrence. But if you're asking me who the face of the franchise is in late May, it's Travis Hunter. Denmark, Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, face of the franchise right now.
Travis Hunter. Nope, not even a thought.
So you didn't even think about it.
No.
And I'll give you credit because you're more in that social media world than I am. You kind of told me about this. I had to pick up on it pretty quick afterwards. I had no idea the popularity Travis Hunter had among non-football fans, I guess.
He's bigger than the sport of football. Here's an example. This isn't everything, but this is something. If I go on my phone, usually one of the first things I do is I go on Instagram. And a lot of kids are like that. Anybody that's a teenager in their 20s?
Yeah, you've sent me some interesting videos from Instagram.
Okay.
I've enjoyed them.
Yeah. Travis Hunter has 2 million followers on Instagram. Guess how many followers the Jaguars have on Instagram?
I'm going to say they don't have 2 million.
They have about 980,000.
Wow.
Guess how much Trevor Lawrence has?
Geez. He doesn't really do a whole lot of social media. I'll say, because he's Trevor, I'm just guessing, I'll say 350.
It's about 900. It's about the same as the Jags.
Okay, so he has a lot more. I shortchanged him.
So Travis Hunter has about the same amount of followers as the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence combined on Instagram.
Wow. Yeah.
Because of how popular he is and his personality and everything. Some of it's football, obviously, but it's outside of football and what he does.
Oh, it's impressive. There's no doubt about that. It's impressive. And again, look, the team's going to go as far as Trevor Lawrence takes them, all right? Travis Hunter's going to play a part in that, but so is Brian Thomas Jr., so is, name your guy, De'Ami Brown, Britton Strange, the offensive line, on and on and on. The team will do as well as Trevor Lawrence does. If Trevor Lawrence is good, the team will be good. If Trevor Lawrence is bad, the team will be bad. But it's been fun to watch Travis Hunter over the first 5 weeks here in town. Hit me up on Twitter. Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, face of the franchise right now here in Jacksonville. Guest lineup tonight. We will wrap up our AFC North previews. We've already been to Pittsburgh. We've already been to Cincinnati. Because we're off tomorrow, we're going to go to both Cleveland and Baltimore tonight. Scott Petrak, BrownZone.com. Luke Jones of WNST Radio in Baltimore. Both guys will come on to review the Browns offseason. Obviously, the Travis Hunter trade will come up in that conversation. And the Ravens offseason. Derrick Henry gets a brand new deal. DeAndre Hopkins to Baltimore. We'll talk about both of those things. SEC meetings going on out in Destin. We'll certainly touch upon that. But we're never going to get too far away from the Jaguars. And with that, talking about Travis Hunter, let's talk about him. Let's talk about the Jaguar roster this offseason, and let's take a brief look ahead, an ever so brief look ahead, to a little fantasy talk. What about Travis Hunter in the world of fantasy football? Where does Brian Thomas Jr. factor in? Will Travis Hunter's presence hurt BTJ in fantasy boards? And, of course, where does Trevor Lawrence go among the quarterbacks? My guy Dave Kluge, footballguys.com, joins us next here on a Thursday night in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
He's big.
What kind of monster are you?
And he's big on the Jags.
3 times bigger than this.
Mike Dempsey.
What do you think? Well, what do you know?
10 to noon weekdays
A lot smarter than I look.
on 1010XL.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
With the first pick in the 2025 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 plumbing, septic, and air conditioning contractor in Florida.
Congratulations, Duck Duck Rooter. So tell us, how does it feel to be picked #1?
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Swing into the hottest party of the summer. Join First Tee Door Florida at the Yards on June 12th for the Summer Soiree Baja Beach Bash. We're bringing the vibrant spirit of Cabo San Lucas to the First Coast for an evening of family-friendly fun. Enjoy live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and delicious Mexican-inspired cuisine from Taco Lu. Golf, fiesta, and philanthropy, all to support the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
Chelsea here from Renewal by Anderson. Before you invite family and friends over for summer fun, treat yourself and your home to new windows and doors from Renewal by Anderson. Renewal by Anderson has a great deal to get you started. We're excited to offer our Window of Opportunity Savings event. Buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third 60% off. Plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. License number CGC 1527613.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 29, 1990, MLB Oakland A's outfielder Ricky Henderson steals record 893rd base, breaking Ty Cobb's record.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Find out what new golf equipment could help your game.
Well, I'm just a humble golf pro. Could I help you?
Get great golf tips and talk from the experts on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Got to figure out why I'm still shaking the ball.
Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Spring has sprung, and so have the bugs. It's Hayes Carline and my friends at Kingfish Pest Control offer an exclusive $99 spring special. That's right, your initial pest control service is just $99. And if you call today, they'll include a free one-time mosquito treatment. Kingfish Pest Control is family-owned, 5-star rated with no binding contracts, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call them now to book your service. Only at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. OTAs on the horizon for Jacksonville. We're about a month away from mandatory veteran minicamp and just over 2 months away from the start of training camp. Dave Kluge of Football Guys, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dave, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Doing great. This is always a really fun time. I know we talked a little bit before the NFL draft, but now with every team getting the players that they want, there's so much more to talk about rather than just kind of blindly guessing. So, in my opinion, this is one of the most fun times of the offseason.
I totally agree, and we're going to review the Jaguar offseason with you, and obviously the biggest story was Travis Hunter, the trade up a couple of weeks back to take the Heisman Trophy winner out of Colorado. Dave, what did you make of James Gladstone and Liam Cohen, swinging for the fence their first time at bat with their first draft pick here in Jacksonville?
I love it. I think that was a trade that made sense for both teams. I think that where the Cleveland Browns are at right now, trading back made sense for them. And I think that Gladstone coming in, it made a lot of sense for him to want to make this big splashy move. And I really actually liked the press conference that he followed it up with too, talking about how they needed this type of unique player to build around. And I know he caught a little bit of flack for his mannerisms during that press conference, as did Liam Cohen early on in his tenure with Jacksonville. But after seeing the way that the media reacted to Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni and their maybe cringy press conferences early on in their respective careers, I don't have any worry at all about James Gladstone and Liam Cohen.
Travis Hunter, obviously what they did is going to have interesting effects on both offense and defense, Dave. Let's begin offensively. Travis Hunter opposite Brian Thomas Jr. I know you were pretty high on Brian Thomas Jr. last year when we talked. What's your thought on that dynamic now as the two starting Jaguar wide receivers?
They are perfect complementary pieces, and I really like this. My immediate reaction, if I had to comp them to somebody, would be DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in Seattle. Of course, we're talking, 4 or 5 years ago when Tyler Lockett was kind of at his peak. But I see Brian Thomas is that DK Metcalf type of player, the guy with the game-breaking speed, the size, the physicality, the guy who can get deep downfield and make these big plays. Travis Hunter, he can do that as well, but I think where he's most dynamic is in the short areas of the field, across the middle of the field, making plays after the catch. So I really see a high-low offense here where Brian Thomas is going to be that big play threat deep downfield. Travis Hunter is working underneath. I don't know what reports you've heard out of Jacksonville so far. You might have a better read on this situation than I do. But when I look at what Travis Hunter did in college, I think that he'd be more impactful as a wide receiver coming in occasionally on nickel and dime formations when they need an extra quarterback. But I think that he would be best suited as a primary receiver who gets the occasional snaps at DB.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Yeah, I think that's where it's ultimately going to land, Dave, at least at the beginning. And when you factor in the other skill positions on offense, they signed De'Ami Brown from Washington. They released Evan Ingram, so now it's Brenton Strange at the tight end position. As of right now, you got Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. Of course, they did draft 2 running backs, Bayshell Tootin and LaQuint Allen. Outside of BTJ and Hunter, how do you assess the other skill position talent here?
I really like Brenton Strange. He seems like he was a forgotten guy in a pretty deep tight end class a couple of years ago, but a round 2 pick who stepped up and was basically a 1-to-1 replacement for what Evan Ingram did when Evan Ingram had to miss some time last year. I think that's why they were comfortable moving on. But I think that Brenton Strange at this point in his career brings some athleticism that Evan Ingram may not have had. And Evan Ingram was great for the offense that they were running. But now I think with Liam Cohen, we're going to see somebody who's going to play a little bit more out of the slot, a guy that they want to get a little bit more vertical, and Brenton Strange can do that. So looking at it right now, De'Ami Brown showed some flashes early in his career, and we like what we see in Parker Washington. But I think Brenton Strange is going to be third on the team in total targets. And I think that he's going to be a player who's going to be on the field close to, if not 100% of the snaps. This backfield, though, is really, really interesting because Travis Etienne is obviously the first-round pick that people are excited about. But, that was 3 head coaches and a GM ago. So, the regime that went out and drafted Travis Etienne in the first round isn't there any longer. We saw some big promise from Tank Bigsby last year. And you mentioned the running backs drafted. LaQuint Allen is kind of a pass-catching special at this point. But Bayshell Tootin is a player that I am really excited about. And if you look at what Liam Cohen did with the backfield last year in Tampa Bay, he was willing to ride the hot hand. We saw Sean Tucker have a huge week. We saw Bucky Irving break out and kind of push Rashad White to the back burner. And I could see Bayshell Tootin having a similar season to Bucky Irving, where he's this day 3 running back that by the end of the season is just the bell cow in Jacksonville.
Dave Kluge, footballguys.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Obviously, it all comes down to Trevor Lawrence and that offensive line. To the O-line first, Dave, I mean, it's apparent what this new regime thought. They brought in 6 new offensive linemen, 4 in free agency and 2 in the draft. You bring in Robert Hainsey from Tampa, Patrick McCarry from Baltimore. You draft Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. Hopefully they can mesh and gel, and that's certainly going to be a big focal point coming into training camp. But how do you assess the offensive line that's supposed to protect Trevor Lawrence here in 2025?
Yeah, they made a good investments in the offensive line, but a lot of times we see that these new units do take some time to fall together. And, I'm a Bears fan, so I'm very familiar with the team going out and making huge investments in the offensive line. The Bears did the same thing this year. But one of the things that we weigh heavily at football guys, especially Matt Batanti, who is our offensive line specialist, is cohesion in the offensive line and how long these guys have been playing together. So a lot of times we see these new look offensive lines, we get really excited for them, and they don't pan out immediately, but then we'll see in year 2 they take that step forward. And I think the Carolina Panthers are a perfect example where 2 off seasons ago, they made these big splashy off-season investments in the offensive line, and we didn't really see it pan out immediately in that first year with Dave Canales, second year for Bryce Young. But then last year, when we saw Bryce Young come back in the second half of the season, the offensive line was starting to mesh a little bit. Everything else was falling into place. And then we saw Bryce Young playing some of the best football of his career over the final month of the season. So I think with Trevor Lawrence, obviously, he's going to get some extra protection now that he hasn't had in years past. But I would tell Jacksonville fans that if it, the first half of the season, or maybe even this first season in 2025, if it doesn't look great, not to panic, because it sometimes does take a year or two for these new offensive line units to learn to cohabitate with each other.
Dave, it's a big year for Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm not breaking any news there. It's year number 5. It's going to be his 3rd head coach in the NFL. If you go back to his final year at Clemson, you're talking 4 head coaches in 6 years, 4 offensive coordinators in 6 years. How do you think the Liam Cohen dynamic with what Liam Cohen did with Baker Mayfield in Tampa, how will that work for Trevor Lawrence here in Jacksonville?
And really, I'll go back to the Carolina Panthers, the team that I just talked about. It seems very similar. We saw Dave Canales come in and resuscitate a career, and then they brought him in to try to do the same with Bryce Young. And now we're seeing Liam Cohen, after resuscitating Baker Mayfield's career, trying to do the same with Trevor Lawrence and building out the offensive line and drafting a new playmaker. So I think they're doing all the right things. But again, this is a huge change for Trevor Lawrence. New offensive line, new weapons, new running backs, new head coach, new system, new offensive coordinator. So I'll say the same thing I said about the offensive line, is that Jaguars fans should exercise patience. I think long-term, this is great for Trevor Lawrence. But I think that we might not see immediate production. He's not going to step out on the field week 1 and just become a 300-yard per game passer. I don't think that's what we're going to expect. But I think that looking for week-to-week improvements over the course of the season is enough to get excited about heading into 2026.
Dave, defensively, I mean, look, not necessarily an X's and O's breakdown, but they got some players over there, but they just didn't materialize last year. And I think a lot of that, at least locally, the fan base blames Ryan Nielsen, the DC, who's no longer here. You bring in Anthony Campanile from Green Bay. I mean, Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. They're going to move Eric Armstead back inside. We know about, Tyson Campbell. We'll see what impact Travis Hunter has in the secondary. They signed both Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray in the secondary as well. What's a mile-high view from you about the Jaguar defense heading into the year?
They've got one of the best pass rushing units in the league. When you look at Josh Hines Allen and Eric Armstead and Trayvon Walker, I was actually thinking that when they were sitting up there with that early pick, that they would have used it on Mason Graham and just, been an embarrassment of riches on that pass rushing. So they've got a good, strong pass rush, and I think that that's kind of where any defense starts. Like you said, they've got some playmakers here. We haven't really seen it all come together, but hopefully as these guys mature and play together for an extra year, we can see them look a little bit better in 2025.
Final moments, Dave Kluge, footballguys.com. Dave, are they better now than they were 4 months ago? There's been a ton of roster turnover. I think 12 outside free agents, 9 draft picks. They basically didn't re-sign any of their own guys, save Cole Van Lanen, a backup offensive lineman. With all this roster turnover, do you think they're a better unit now than they were when the season ended in January?
Absolutely. I really like Liam Cohen. I mean, he runs a very progressive, pass-forward, 11 personnel type of offense that we see find success in the NFL. The addition of Travis Hunter is obviously a huge, splashy signing that can't be ignored. So you look at what James Gladstone is building there, what Liam Cohen is going to breathe into this offense and the playmakers that they have. I think it's impossible to say that they are in a worse position now than they were 4 months ago.
As far as the division goes, it's been an interesting offseason, right? Indianapolis looks like they got a full-blown quarterback controversy. Tennessee's got Cam Ward, and they're obviously excited about that, but he's young. It might take some time. And then Houston, probably on paper still the best team, but you talk to people around the league, Dave, a lot of people think Houston had one of the worst off seasons. What's your thought about the South as a whole?
You know, I'm still in on Houston. I think that they are the team to beat there in the AFC South. CJ Stroud last year, huge regression, and you don't like to see that. But when you realize that he's throwing to Xavier Hutchinson and these sorts of guys at the end of the season, Nico Collins was banged up, Stephon Diggs tore his ACL, Tank Dell had the knee injury. I think them bringing in Christian Kirk, drafting Jaden Higgins, drafting Jalen Noel, fixing up the offensive line a little bit. I think they still have a ways to go there, but I think Houston is still the team to beat. But really, this is one of those divisions that's wide open. And while I've got Houston sitting atop it right now, it wouldn't shock me one bit if the Jags can put it together and Trevor Lawrence steps up big time in this Liam Cohen offense, and they can take down the AFC South.
All right, Dave, let's get down to it. Footballguys.com, rookie drafts in dynasty leagues. Where is Travis Hunter going?
I have him in the top tier with Ashton Ginty and Cam Ward. Of course, that's super flex leagues where you can start 2 quarterbacks. If you're in a dynasty league where you're only starting 1 quarterback, I have Travis Hunter as the number 2 pick behind Ashton Ginty. I think that he's just and I want to say, first of all, I want to preface this, I don't throw the term generational around like a lot of other people do in media, but you look at what he does on offense and defense, his playmaking abilities, his ball skills, he truly has the makings to be a generational prospect. And I understand Ashton Ginty, very good prospect, landed in an ideal situation with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. They're going to run the ball a lot, and that's why I give the slight edge to him. But it wouldn't shock me if a year from now, Travis Hunter is looking like the best player out of this year's class.
I'm curious. Websites like you guys at Football Guys, you're going to list him, I guess, as a wide receiver, right? But in IDP leagues, he'll get points for defense as well, correct?
Yep, and I am in a dynasty startup right now, not just a rookie draft, where we do have an IDP spot, and Travis Hunter went in the first round ahead of Caleb Williams and some of the big quarterbacks that you'd expect to be going.
Wow.
So in those leagues where you have an IDP spot, if you can put Travis Hunter in there, I mean, if he ends up being that 20-point per game type of wide receiver, plus some extra points from the defensive side of the ball, he's a guy who is just going to break IDP leagues this year.
Finally,
so we list him as wide receiver, but look at the platform you're playing on, ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, MFL. They're all going to have different designations there, so you do have to be cognizant of where you're playing.
Finally, Brian Thomas Jr., where is he going in most leagues right now?
Oh, man. You mentioned Dynasty rookie draft, so I'll just say in Dynasty, I just did my rankings, and I've got him inside my top 6 there. He deserves to be a second-round pick, though. You look at it last year, top 5 in receiving yards as a rookie, just a handful of big plays, one after another. And then I talk about the complementary skill sets here. I've heard a lot of people say, with Travis Hunter now in Jacksonville, does that negatively impact Brian Thomas? And I could not disagree more with that sentiment. I think that they play off of each other very well. A rising tide lifts all boats, and if you've got defenses forced to pay attention to Travis Hunter underneath, that's just going to make for more broken plays deep downfield for Brian Thomas. So I've got him as an early second-round pick. Even if he starts creeping into round 1, though, I don't think that's crazy.
Dave, final question. A lot of dynasty players here, but certainly there's a lot of players that listen that are, 1 year redraft fantasy players. What's the top 5 look like right now in the middle portion of May for drafts that are coming up in the next 90 days?
That's a good question, because there hasn't really been much of a consensus so far this year. And typically we do see that at May, but this has been kind of a bizarre year. I think you've got Jamar Chase and Saquon Barkley are the unanimous top 2. After that, you've got Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. But after that, you can go in just about every direction. If you want to go with Justin Jefferson and you have faith in J.J. McCarthy, you can do that. If you want to take the risk on the rookie and Ashton Ginty, if you want to believe that CeeDee Lamb is going to bounce back this year, you can even go with Puka Nacua. Now that Cooper Kupp is out of the picture, hopefully, he can still coexist with Devontae Adams. So I think the top 4 is locked in with Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and Ashton Ginty. But after that, it's really any direction.
We're getting close to fantasy season, no question about it. Dave Kluge. Dave, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about footballguys.com and the coverage you guys provide.
Yeah, we are writing stories about just about everything that's happening in the NFL. We've got rankings. We have league syncing abilities. We have a Rate My Team tool where you can input your fantasy football team, and we'll give you personalized waiver advice and how to match matchups throughout the season. All of that over at footballguys.com.
Dave Kluge of footballguys.com. Dave, I know you're busy. Thank you as always for the time, pal. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dave Kluge of footballguys.com for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. We spent a lot of time there talking about Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence. I threw this question out on social media about 20 minutes ago. Who is the face right now on May 29th, 2025? Who is the face of the Jaguar franchise? Your two options, very simple. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. Over 150 votes so far. Trevor Lawrence, 59-41. That kind of surprises me a little bit, to be honest. I thought Travis Hunter would win this poll. I thought it'd be close. But Trevor, basically 60% of at least the first 150 votes coming in. Again, the question isn't the most important. If it was the most important, it should be 100-0 in favor of Trevor. Trevor's the most important guy on the team, and it's not even close as the starting quarterback. But most important doesn't necessarily mean the face of the franchise, but Trevor is winning that. Again, 59%, 41%. If you're so inclined, go to Ryan Green, 1010XL on X, vote, and we'll let you know what the results are coming up here in just a bit. Also, game number 5 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. It is do or die for the Knicks. They're looking to keep their season alive. The Pacers are looking to win the Eastern Conference tonight. New York, 29-25, 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. Jalen Brunson with 14 early points. Knicks were up by double digits at one point. The Pacers have battled back. Again, Knicks up 4, 29-25, 10 minutes to go in the first half. Coming up next, we will keep our AFC North previews going and actually round them out tonight. We've already been to Pittsburgh. We've already been to Cincinnati. In the 9 o'clock hour, because we're not here tomorrow, we will go to Baltimore. But next, let's go to Cleveland. Scott Petrak, BrownZone.com. Let's talk about the Travis Hunter trade a month later from the Cleveland perspective. How has Mason Graham looked? What about Shedeur Sanders? What about the offseason that the Cleveland Browns have had? Scott Petrak is my guy up in Cleveland, BrownZone.com, and he joins me next on a Thursday evening in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us right here on Hacker After Dark.
The roar of the crowd. The theater of your mind.
Breaking free, they're not going to catch him.
It comes alive in your ears.
Showtime.
Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio. 1010XL.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here from Helmets and Heels, inviting you to join us live at the brand new Kia on Atlantic this Friday. From noon to 2, we're talking sports, cars, and a boatload of prizes. The first person to arrive in their own Kia during the live show wins a free set of tires. You could score club seats to a Jaguars game with a parking pass or a pair of tickets to see Live and Collective Soul at Daly's Place. Plus, giving away 2 free oil changes and 2 alignments. So join Helmets and Heels this Friday, noon to 2 at the new Kia on Atlantic.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Pretty nice weather we're having, huh?
You think this is nice?
I mean, it's sunny, warm. We do live in Florida.
It's not all upside, Jason. Warm weather comes, so all the cool people hit the beach. My old air conditioner craps out, so it's 1,000 degrees inside, and I'm stuck on a video call in my underpants trying not to sweat through my...
Wait. Put these sunglasses on.
I'm not going to put on your...
Whoa. The air conditioning experts at Bueller Air & Plumbing can keep your home office cool and comfortable all summer long. You look good in your meeting, impress the big guy with your cool confidence, maybe finally make assistant deputy regional manager.
Wow, air conditioning can do that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all summer worried the weather is going to be too nice, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, it only costs for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
You can help Micah's Place support domestic violence victims by playing in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament June 20th at the stunning Golf Club of Amelia Island. Register at micahsplace.org/golf.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You have healing power. Even writing a letter or volunteering can help heal a veteran. Find out more at healvets.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camps, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. One division per week heading into Jaguar training camp at the end of July. This week, it's all about the AFC North. We will make stops in Pittsburgh, in Cincinnati, and in Baltimore. Right now, it's all about the Cleveland Browns. And obviously, Cleveland and Jacksonville have been kind of linked for the last month since the Travis Hunter deal. Let's talk about the fallout from that. Let's talk about the offseason that has been in Cleveland and where they are heading into the 2025 campaign. Our guy up in Cleveland is Scott Petrak of BrownsZone.com, and Scott's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Scott, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Hey, Scott, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. You and I spoke about a month ago, right after the Travis Hunter trade, or I guess you guys might refer to it as the Mason Graham trade up there. I can tell you this, people here in Jacksonville a month in love Travis Hunter. What is the fallout a month later in Cleveland about that trade?
I think the initial, let's call it uproar, has died down. People like Mason Graham enough, I think, but the key is, and we probably talked about it a month ago, is that first-round pick in 2026. They also got number 36, and they spent it on Quinshon Judkins, the running back out of Ohio State, and people like him, and I think he's got a chance to be really good. But the key is having that first-round pick next year. So I think that's where people stand, and the reality is a lot of people around here, the expectations aren't that high for this Cleveland Browns team in 2025.
How has Mason Graham looked through rookie minicamp and a couple of OTAs?
Yeah, he looked pretty good. We've only seen the rookie minicamp. He looked good. He actually vomited during practice and then rinsed out his helmet and continued to practice and looked quick, and his hands looked good. I don't think it was an out-of-shape thing. The coach, Kevin Stefanski, blamed it on eating too many wings at lunch that day. So, I watched him do some individuals, and he looks good. It's so hard to tell in rookie minicamp, but, he's not built like an Adonis, but he's got really quick hands. He's powerful, and the Browns really feel that in Michigan, he was used in a two-gap system where he had to eat up a bunch of blockers. He wasn't attacking, and under Jim Schwartz, the coordinator, he is just going to get up the field, and they think that's really going to unlock his talent.
Scott Petrak, BrownZone.com. All right, let's start with the quarterback position. I remember the last time you and I talked, the thought was, or at least the thought I had, was after the draft, maybe Kirk Cousins, something along those lines. And here we are now after Memorial Day, and nothing has really materialized. I mean, where are we right now with the Browns quarterback situation?
Yeah, we got a four-man kind of unimpressive competition that's just about to heat up. So we got Joe Flacco, Kenny, and this is in no order. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and then the two rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. So fifth-round pick is probably the least likely to win this job. Joe Flacco, I think, he has the best resume by far. He was here a couple years ago, helped the Browns get to the playoffs in 2023. But they traded for Kenny Pickett from the Eagles, and they feel like that he's got a lot of potential that hasn't shown in his career to this point. So my favorite, right now at the end of May is Kenny Pickett to be your starter week one. And I don't think that generates a whole lot of optimism and excitement among Browns fans, but I feel like that's the most logical option right now.
You follow that team as close as anybody. We've had you on for years. The optics when they drafted Shedeur Sanders in that war room wasn't a great look. There didn't seem to be a lot of excitement. Maybe the camera just caught him at a bad time. Was Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, was their hand forced by ownership to draft Shedeur Sanders?
I don't think so. And I think you're right about the timing of the cameras. It felt like it was a little later than the actual pick. Because nobody's on the phone telling Shedeur that he's their guy. That's when you usually see that excitement, and everybody's just kind of sitting there or standing there. So I give him a little bit of pass on the reaction, although I get it. And I get the question about Jimmy Haslam. He has meddled before. And I think he's gotten better in that area, but I would never rule it out. But I don't think it happened. I think what happened is Shedeur Sanders was there in the fifth round. They couldn't believe he was there. They thought he would be, a day two pick, and he's still there deep into the third day. And they said, hey, even though we have Dylan Gabriel, it's too good a value to pass up.
I mean, what's the idea there, Scott? Assuming Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco make the roster, you're not going to keep four quarterbacks on the 53. Yeah. They can't bury one of those guys on the practice squad, right?
I wouldn't think so. I think, one of those rookies would get claimed on waivers. I'm not sure Flacco and Pickett are guaranteed to make this roster. And the Browns consider quarterbacks as assets. And 2 years ago in training camp, Joshua Dobbs was their number two. but they drafted Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and he looked pretty good in the preseason. And they traded Joshua Dobbs for a draft pick. And I think it came back to bite them. It wound up not because they signed Joe Flacco off the couch, but there was a while where the Browns didn't have a legitimate option when Deshaun Watson got hurt. And they were starting P.J. Walker. And then they started Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And they had to go get Joe Flacco. So they're not afraid to use quarterback as a chip. Last year they kept 4 after the roster cut because they were hoping to get something for either Tyler Huntley or Jameis Winston, and nothing developed there. So if there's a quarterback injury across the league, or the Saints come calling and say, hey, we really want Kenny Pickett or really want Joe Flacco, I think the Browns would be open to a trade there. So right now, I would think that one of the 2 veterans make it, and both rookies.
A couple of more for Scott Petrak. BrownsZone.com as our AFC North preview continues tonight, focusing on the Cleveland Browns. Jerome Ford, is it his job at running back now that the Nick Chubb era is over in Cleveland?
No, I mean, he has a job because he was willing to take a pay cut this offseason, and they guaranteed him, I want to say it's 1.7 something million for 2025. It's the last year of his rookie deal, but he was set to make more than that, and they asked him to take a pay cut. He accepted. He took the guaranteed money. But they drafted Judkins at 36 and then Dylan Sampson from Tennessee in the 4th round. So, who knows how quickly the rookies adapt, but, to running back, you'd think the learning curve is pretty short. So I would think Quinshon Judkins is the number 1 back, and then it's a matter of, is it Sampson or Ford that winds up being your number 2 and your 3rd down back?
As far as the other skill position, Deontay Johnson, I believe, is now a Cleveland Brown. We know about Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku. How does the skill position look there in Cleveland?
Well, they drafted Bowling Green tight end Harold Fannin Jr. in the 3rd round, and he had the best season for a tight end in the history of college or NFL. I think it was 117 passes for 1555 at 10 touchdowns. So they really like the idea of pairing him with Njoku. And he's more of a slot guy, can line up a little bit at fullback, H-back kind of guy, but really good receiver. So I think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight ends. I think you're going to run the ball a bunch. And they kind of have to lean into that because they do not have a lot of receivers. You mentioned Jeudy, and after that, it's a bunch of question marks. I mean, Deontay Johnson, I think it was either traded or cut by 3 or 4 teams last year, got suspended for not going in a game by the Ravens. And so they're taking a chance on him. It's it's low risk because I don't think they're paying him much. With the hope that he returns to the receiver he used to be with the Steelers. Cedric Tillman had, I think, 3 or 4 good games last year in the middle of the season, then missed the end of it with the concussion. And then you got a bunch of other guys who haven't done a lot in the NFL. So I think they're a receiver short, and or they need Deontay Johnson to really go back to who he was in Pittsburgh about 5 years ago.
Defensively, we already talked about Mason Graham, but it obviously starts and stops up in Cleveland with Myles Garrett. There was some thought he would not be in Cleveland this year. That obviously got put to bed with that massive, massive contract. What is the thought about Garrett and that defense heading into the year?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest move they made this offseason was getting Myles to sign that extension and rescind his trade request. I think it's got a chance to be somewhere between where it was in 2023 when it was the number 1 ranked defense in yardage. It probably wasn't the best in the league, just overall scoring wise, but it was a really good defense and it led the league in a bunch of categories. And it fell off last year. So I think it has a chance to rebound. I don't think it's got the talent to be number 1, but could it be top 8? I think so. You got Garrett, you got Mason Graham. They drafted Mike Hall Jr. out of Ohio State in the 2nd round. In 2024, he didn't play a ton as a rookie because he was suspended and then hurt, but they like him next to Mason Graham. They got some other ends opposite Garrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. They drafted Carson Schlesinger at 33 to play linebacker and fill in for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who is not going to play at all this year because he got a neck injury last year tackling Derrick Henry and is still not cleared to play, so he's out for this entire season. And his future, his football future is unknown. But they still got Denzel Ward. They still got Martin Emerson Jr. and Greg Newsome II at corner. They got Grant Delpit at safety. So, I don't love their safeties. I think their linebackers are going to be okay, but I think they're pretty good up front, and I really like their corners.
Final moment, Scott Petrak, BrownsZone.com, covering the Cleveland Browns. As far as Kevin Stefanski, where is he in the job security ranks?
Yeah, it's interesting. They go 3-14 last year. They're coming off a playoff season. He's been to the playoffs twice for a franchise that doesn't go to the playoffs. But if they go 3-14 again, I think it's all, it's anyone's guess what could happen. And the ownership knows that this is a transitional year, especially from a roster standpoint. They owe so much to Deshaun Watson under the salary cap that it ties their hand what they could do in free agency. There weren't any, they didn't love any of the quarterbacks at number 2 after Cam Ward went number 1. So they weren't, I know they took 2, but they weren't really able to address quarterback the way they'd want to in the draft. So I think that there's just improvement from 3-14, that Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry will stick around. But if you put another 3-14 season or even 4-13, that's a tough 2 years for an owner to stomach. And I think then we could see changes. I don't anticipate that going into the year, but 3-14, it just shortens the leash.
Scott, as we wrap up, you mentioned the Deshaun Watson, the fiasco of the contract. I mean, where are we in the longevity of that? How long is that going to hinder that franchise?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. The actual contract runs through 2026. So this is year 4. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he's owed, it's still like 177, not owed, but a salary cap hit, because they kept pushing it down the road. He gets $46 million a year in cash for the next 2 seasons.
Jeez.
Now, they're going to recoup some of that in insurance policies, and if he doesn't play this year, then you get salary cap relief as well. So it's not quite that bad, but it's still bad. My expectation is he doesn't play this year, and then they figure out a way next offseason in March or February to release him and figure out how to limit the cap damage, whether that's making it a June 1st cut, whatever they have to do. And then just to have a clean break, get him off their books as soon as possible, and don't have the shadow, because it's not just how poorly he's played in the contract. There's just so much surrounding him, and it feels like he's dragged down this franchise since he got here in 2022.
You and I have done this now for a few years. Whenever we talk about the AFC North, we talk about the competitiveness, how all 4 teams have a shot. Not to put words in your mouth, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of hope that I'm hearing about Cleveland and the AFC North this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's a really good division. Who knows who's going to play quarterback for Pittsburgh, but they always figure out a way to win, 9 games at least. Baltimore's really good. Cincinnati's going to score a ton of points as long as Joe Burrow's healthy. So it's a tough division. The Browns have a really difficult schedule, especially to start. I don't think they're going to be favored in at least their first 6 games. Now, if they figure out a way to win a couple early, and maybe it's Joe Flacco quarterback, and he gives you a chance to beat the Bengals at home in week 1 and Green Bay at home in week 3, and they win a couple and keep their heads above water, then it gets easier. Then they get more home games as the season goes on. But, just look at the odds makers. They set the over-under at 4.5 and 5.5 for this team. So there's not a lot of optimistic anywhere.
Scott Petrak, BrownsZone.com. He's our guy when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Scott, I have no doubt that the Browns fan base will be passionately rooting against Jacksonville the entire season. We'll be forever linked with that for the next 12 months or so. Thank you as always, my friend, and we'll talk again real soon.
Sounds good, bud.
Taking care of business.
Taking care of business.
And business is good. 1010XL.
Taking care of business every day.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway for all your outdoor living needs. Let them show you how a durable paver driveway can enhance your home. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Beaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at beachesdermatology.com.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations, providing advanced urological care to improve men's health and sexual vitality. Don't suffer through prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
2 classic albums, 1 night of hits. Styx presents The Grand Illusion. Kevin Cronin Band presents REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. June 2nd, Daly's Place. Brotherhood of Rock Tour. Plus Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. 2 classic albums in their entirety. Styx, The Grand Illusion, REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. Don't miss the event of the summer.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
Hi, folks. It's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's Glass. Those beautiful custom glass shower enclosures, maybe a new mirror, a glass tabletop. They can even replace your foggy or cracked glass without having to replace the whole window. Lee and Kate's is local. They're family-owned. They've been a part of our community since 1926. Boy, they've taken care of me, including our brand new offices at Walk Off Charities. They did a great job. I promise they'll do the same for you. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We have reached the end of May, on the doorstep to the beginning of June. Preseason magazines right around the corner. The SEC spring meetings are going on right now, and huge news for Florida basketball. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, this is a big week, Hank, in many ways, because certainly of the Condon returning to Florida news is a bit of that. Also, the SEC having its spring meetings in Destin with a lot on the table and a lot at stake. Yes, preseason magazines starting to trickle out. Athlon out this week, which would be fun to see the first magazine that is going to be out. So they're just the fallout and the implementation of the House versus Nation with Judge Wilkins' decision that's coming down. A lot is happening and can happen this week.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And you mentioned Alex Condon. Let's begin there. We knew that Thomas Houck and Micah Hanlogden were already coming back. We found out last week Ruben Chinyalu's coming back, and we find out earlier this week that now Alex Condon is coming back, which means the defending national champion Florida Gators bring back essentially their entire front court. That's the best front court in America heading into this college basketball season, correct, Brent?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it was last year. There's no question about that. When you've got the depth that they've got, and with Condon coming back, see, the thing Condon did that to me that was so impressive this year is when Florida played Auburn, Condon was a huge difference in that game. He got Janai Broome off of his game and really frustrated him. And during the season, 7 double-doubles, coaches, third team on that, 17, 10 rebounds in the, as we mentioned, in the Auburn game. I mean, he just really got a part of history. Certainly when he dove on the loose ball at the end of the national championship game. We could go on and on about Condon, but Condon was the straw that stirs the drink of Florida basketball this year, and you really can make the argument. I don't know if he's the best big man coming back, but he's certainly one of the top three.
I mean, you knew Walter Clayton, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin were leaving to graduation. There was literally nothing you could do about that. The fact, though, that Thomas Houck's coming back, that Alex Condon's coming back, that Ruben Chinyalu's coming back, and you go out into the portal and get arguably 2 of the top 5 guards that were available in Xavier Lee from Princeton and, of course, Boogie Flan from Arkansas. Brent, Todd Golden did pretty much as good as he possibly could have done trying to reassemble this roster.
He really did. And look, what that means is, can you imagine what ticket sales are going to be for basketball this year?
Yeah.
And they are going quickly from what I understand. Also, people may not realize what a big deal Boogie Flan is. The kid from Arkansas, great defender, one of the best players in the league, and very excited about seeing C.J. Ingram and Xavier Lee and Alex Lloyd, Isaiah Brown. I mean, there's a lot of these guys that we can mention. Could you almost make an argument right now? There's as much excitement about the Gator basketball season coming up and it's months away than there would be the football season.
Yeah, it's probably close. I know a lot of people are pumped for Gator basketball coming off that national championship, and having Alex Condon come back only added fuel to that fire. You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, since the last time you and I talked, there is now a change to the college football playoff seeding. I know a lot of scrutiny last year about the fact that Arizona State and Boise State got byes in round number one because they were just simply conference champions. That will be no longer the case. Now the 4 byes in the playoff go to the 4 best teams, regardless of conference championship status or not, which I think is the right decision.
And it was unanimous. That was very surprising, but for 2025, any changes in the playoff have to be unanimous. Starting in 26, the changes do not have to be unanimous. They have to be by simple majority. So that is important. The reality for this, the committee, what's going on here to a degree is a lot of these decisions that are being made or being made to put less emphasis on the committee and more of what's done on the field. And they, starting in November on Tuesday night, they had this basically what they want to call appointment television to draw people in to see what the top 25 is going to be. Well, if you go to all the trouble of having a top 25 and you seed all these teams, why not use that at the end of the year? To your point a few minutes ago, they go in the room, they make those decisions. Well, here's your top 25, and then when it comes to picking your top 12, or at least top 12 for now, they want to kind of play the shell game with that a little bit. This is a lot more cut and dry and makes a lot more sense, and will be a lot more favorable among the fans.
And just to avoid confusion, conference champions in the Power Four and, of course, the best conference champion ranking of the group of 5, I guess, still get in the 12-team playoff. They're just not guaranteed a bye in round number 1.
Yeah, that's well said. And there are so many spinning plates with this right now. It's just amazing. One of the things that came out of Destin was a 16-team model that would include the 5 highest-ranked conference champions and 11 at-large bids. Now, that is being pro'd and conned, shall we say, by the SEC coaches and the athletic directors. The thing that really is the most fascinating thing of all are these play-in games. If they go to a 16-team model, what they are thinking about doing in the SEC and the Big Ten is doing the same thing, possibly, is they're to think about having play-in games. And what we mean by that is on Championship Saturday, the top 2 seeds will play in the SEC championship game. But that would not be it, and only. What you would also have would be, and what we'd have had last year, what would have been Texas and Georgia would have played in the championship game. Then you would have a play-in game, Tennessee versus South Carolina and Knoxville, because Tennessee will be the higher seed. The other play-in game, Alabama versus LSU and Tuscaloosa. And what you would have is the top 2 seeds are going to the playoffs regardless. And the winner of the next 2 games, Tennessee, South Carolina, Bama, LSU, those 2 would get in for a total of 4. So if the SEC and the Big Ten are granted 4 teams that will be in regardless, then that's something they might do. I won't get into the weeds too much of this because right now it's just kind of a shiny toy that we really don't know is going to happen or not. But the other thing would be if you did this, one of the motives for doing it, Hank, and to have play-in games would be to keep the committee from making the decision. You play in, the winner goes, and they get to the playoffs. So there's some radical stuff going on here compared to what you and I grew up with in college football. Not saying all this is going to happen, but it's fascinating to look at, is it not?
It is. There's no doubt. A couple of more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, you mentioned the SEC spring meetings are going on right now. A lot of coaches talking out there. What have you got for Florida and Georgia fans out of the meetings so far?
I think with, as far as Florida is concerned, the thing that came out this week, again, another positive report. Billy Napier at the spring meetings updated DJ Lagway and said he's been throwing 3 days a week and making good progress. Napier was asked if he's back to 100% health. He said, I don't know if he can put a percentage on it, but he is continuing to make a lot of progress. From the Georgia standpoint, as you can imagine, the Georgia coaches and ADs or ask a lot of questions. The same thing happened to Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart was very vocal in his remarks that instead of having 2 transfer portals, let's just have 1. And he was pretty adamant about that. I think he'd like to have 1 in January, and that would be it. He said the NFL has free agency once, and that's all they do. That's something that college football needs to look at, too. Obviously, we had this discussion in April. You've got the transfer portal opening in April, right in the middle of spring games. Players get poached. They move around. Coaches are tired of that. They want to stop it. So, believe me, the transfer portal stuff's going on too.
Yeah, there's always a lot going on with the portal. And with that as a backdrop, I was reading your notes earlier. I think this study that was done regarding transfers is really interesting. Again, there's a lot of caveats to it, but the overwhelming premise of it is that guys that stay at the same school that they committed to out of high school are sometimes 3, 4, or even 5 times more likely to get drafted into the NFL than those that transfer around.
Well, that's black and white stuff there. This is not theory. And I give Chris Hummer of CBS Sports credit for this. He made a study from 2018 through 2021, nearly 1,000 players, found that players who remain at their school they signed with out of high school were roughly 5 times likely to be drafted as those who transferred. And according to the study, Hummer worked for 24/7 Sports, the top 24/7 recruits from high school during that time who did not transfer were drafted 53% of the time compared to the players who did transfer during that. The group that heard their name called in the NFL draft, just 11% of the time. So in all, 307 of the top 24/7 recruits since 2018 were drafted. Just 61 transferred. Boy, that is a big discrepancy. And I can tell you, head coaches are going to be shouting that from the mountaintop, aren't they, Hank?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And again, it's just a weird situation. But what I think they should do, and again, we don't have limits on it yet. 1 transfer, and that's it. This stuff about going to school A and then school B and then school C in a 4-year span, to me, Brent, is getting a little ridiculous.
Well, see, the other end of that, too, to back up what you're saying, it's an academic nightmare, isn't it, Hank, I mean, people may not realize anymore, but this is still going on. You've got to, there are academic rules in every school that says you've got to make a certain amount of progress every year toward a degree. And the problem, what these guys don't understand is when you go to 3 or 4 schools during your college career, you're not making progress. You're actually losing transfer points, which really hurt you in the long run and put you further behind. So there is a lot of evidence out there right now that you are much better off if you stay where you're planted.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, we'll take next week off. I'll be in the Caribbean thinking about you and your preseason magazines, of course.
Yes.
But we'll reconvene in 2 weeks, and we'll have a lot more on the docket at that point. Always thank you, my friend.
Well, the great thing about that trip is, would it be better if you've got a preseason magazine in your hand, reading it in the lounge chair on the trip?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Thank you, buddy.
Always, brother. Take care.
I did not see this one coming.
Radio play-by-play is like stepping in a theater in your mind.
As good as it gets.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
To...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Jeff Prosser here for Lloyd's Heating and Air. Need a leader for commercial, retail, multifamily, or hospitality projects? Or top-tier residential service? No gimmicks, no mascots, just real expertise and hard work. As your trusted statewide mechanical partner and local family-owned team, Lloyd's is the name Northeast Florida counts on. Visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air. keeping you comfortable in every season.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 29, 1990, MLB Oakland A's outfielder Ricky Henderson steals record 893rd base, breaking Ty Cobb's record.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Denny Thompson here. You gotta check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Did you know that mosquito bites could lead to heartworm for your dog or cat? When mosquitoes show up, pet parents want them gone. Terminix takes mosquitoes down fast, just like they did at my house for our pup. Terminix knows that pets are part of the family. They do what it takes to help protect them. When mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. This week, it's all about the AFC North. We will make stops in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, in Pittsburgh. Right now, it's all about the Baltimore Ravens and what an offseason they've had, taking care of a lot of their own, adding a couple of veterans as well. And the question always is in Baltimore this time of year, can they finally get over the hump in the NFL playoffs? Luke Jones has been our guy in Baltimore for many years, WNST Radio in the Baltimore area, and Luke's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Luke, how you doing?
Doing well, man. How are you? You're counting down to another football season. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, the offseason's gone quick here in Jacksonville, Luke. I know you've been watching from afar. Our offseason has been absolutely wild. Not as much wildness in Baltimore, with good reason. Obviously, a much more stable franchise with the Ravens, yet some more heartbreak last year in the playoffs, certainly. What has the offseason from a mile-high view been like so far?
Well, it's been a lot of what you just mentioned. I mean, how do you break through? I mean, I'd be remiss if I buried the lead. I mean, obviously the Justin Tucker saga, which came to a head earlier in the month of May, where the Ravens decide to move on from Justin Tucker. So there's that question. But beyond that, it's that same old question. What do you do to get over the hump in January? And I think the answer is both a blessing and a curse. This team continues to be one of the very best in the NFL in the regular season. It has been every time Lamar Jackson's healthy and upright from the moment he became their starting quarterback. But the curse part of that is, I'm not sure there's a thing you do in the off season. I'm not sure there's a smoking gun move that you make that says, oh, that's it. That gets them over the hump. I mean, look at last year. Just to give you an example of how maddening January has been. I mean, the Ravens turned it over 3 times in their playoff loss to Buffalo. They also set a franchise record for fewest turnovers in a season last year. So it just shows you that they play so well. They get to that point in January, and for whatever reason, whether it's in their head at this point, whether it's just needing to slow down the heart rate, whatever it might be, that's been what's held them back. And I don't know what that perfect answer is, other than you need your biggest stars to be big stars in those moments and not make mistakes. And last year it was Lamar Jackson with a couple turnovers and Mark Andrews with a couple absolutely crushing mistakes, and that's what cost them. So there's still so much optimism because everyone expects this team to be good. the window is still wide open, in my opinion, but you just get to a point where you've been in this position so many times. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. How exactly do you break through?
Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore. Luke, you mentioned it at the top. I don't start a lot of these talking about the kicking situation, but Justin Tucker was on pace for a gold jacket in Canton, Ohio one day, and the fall from grace has been pretty fierce. I mean, what's the thought on Justin Tucker from Raven fans now that his tenure in Baltimore is over?
Well, I mean, it's obviously it's something that it's a shame. It's something that ends in disgrace in terms of some of the accusations from massage therapists in the Baltimore area going back more than a decade ago. I think for him, the key is, one, the NFL's investigation playing out and probably showing a higher degree of contrition to some degree to get an opportunity somewhere else. But as far as for the Ravens, one, how do you replace Justin Tucker? And yes, he's coming off of what was the worst season of his career, but let's not kid ourselves. This wasn't even though the Ravens called it a football decision, this was hardly a 100% football decision. But I just think it's a shame, when you're talking about someone, any of those players that fans wear their jersey, fans have a reverence for him. He was their kicker for 13 seasons. For it to end in the way that it did, to your point, I mean, he was on a fast track to being one of the very few kickers to make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that legacy is ruined in Baltimore. So, can he continue his career? Sure. And I'm not even saying that he's not entitled to perhaps a second chance if another team deems him worthy of that. But at the same time, you look at it and you say, it's tough to have too much sympathy for him when you hear about these accusations. And, when it's 16 different people that making these accusations, it's tough to kind of brush that off as nothing. So it's just very disappointing. As you know, whether you're talking about Jacksonville, Baltimore, wherever, you have sports heroes that you have a certain affinity for. And then when you find out that isn't exactly what you thought it was, you can't help but feel disappointed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Something the Ravens and the Raven fans were not disappointed in last year was Derrick Henry. I think everybody knew when Baltimore signed Derrick Henry, Luke, that had the potential to be amazing, and it pretty much was, right? I think he lived up to every expectation. He was rewarded with a new contract. The question now is, how much does Derrick Henry have left? But based on last year, my goodness, he might have a lot left.
Yeah, I mean, it goes against everything that we think about running backs, and specifically running backs in the modern NFL. And I'll be the first to admit, and you can probably go back and find the recording of us talking about this a year ago. I wasn't as over the moon about the acquisition, not because I didn't think Derrick Henry still couldn't play or wouldn't be productive, but I just thought in the context of how many different guys the Ravens have plugged in at running back, Lamar Jackson at quarterback for this offense and for this ground game. And it's just worked with everyone. I mean, they've had street agents come in and have success, but it worked so incredibly well. I mean, you're talking about someone who rushed for 1,900 yards. I mean, he was just a hair under 6 yards per carry. But Derrick Henry would be the first to point out to you that he also had a career high in yards before contact per attempt, which just shows that the amount of conflict that a defense is in when they're facing a Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry led ground game. So this worked out so well for everyone involved. And to your point, the Ravens just gave him an extension, which basically gave him a bump for 2025. It guaranteed him a deal for 2026. And then basically it amounts to a team option after that. But he's 31. He's carried 2,300 plus times in his NFL career. He's going to slow down at some point. I mean, that's what logic tells us, right? Father Time's undefeated, but boy, I mean, he's 31 and he didn't show many signs of slowing down at all last year. So I still expect him to have an excellent season. It's tough to expect him to run for 1,900 yards again, but I think he's going to continue to be one of the very best running backs in football, and he's going to wreak havoc for these defenses that are, kind of just in a blender, trying to stop him, trying to stop Lamar Jackson. I'll throw out another name, Keaton Mitchell, who, if you recall, actually was injured against the Jaguars in that Sunday night game 2 years ago as a rookie. He's going to be another year removed from his knee injury. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a bigger factor. So that's the ground game. And, oh, yeah, Lamar Jackson's one of the best passers in football as well. So it's just, the entire operation so exciting, so productive, so explosive. And yes, I expect Derrick Henry to continue to be a major, major part of that and still playing at an all-pro caliber level.
A couple more for Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, as our AFC North preview continues tonight, focusing on the Baltimore Ravens. John Harbaugh, Luke, is, again, a fantastic coach. I think he'll be in Canton, Ohio one day. He was rewarded with a brand new contract extension. I mean, what John Harbaugh in Baltimore and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh are doing in this division and have done for years and years and years just doesn't happen anymore. I mean, the Jaguars have had 3 head coaches in 5 years. Harbaugh's been there forever. What does it say about Harbaugh, and I guess Tomlin as well, both in the AFC North, that they can continue to do this year after year after year in the same spot?
I mean, I think it really speaks to their ability to relate to their players. I mean, we hear it all across sports. I mean, the Orioles just fired their manager, who was manager of the year in the American League 2 years ago, Brandon Hyde, because of the awful start they're off to. And I don't think it's because he got dumber or anything like that. I just think it's so difficult to not have the voice get stale, to not have players, whether they, not even talking about disrespect, but guys get comfortable, complacency can set in, things of that nature. I think what's ironic is the way you frame that. If you ask us a certain significant segment of both Steelers fans and Ravens fans, there are very real questions about those coaches because, the Steelers, the lack of playoff wins over the last decade or so. The Ravens, as I talked about, their inability to break through here in recent years. When you're talking about coaches that are approaching 2 decades, I mean, that's impressive in any era of the National Football League when you go over the history, but especially because of what you talked about. I mean, owners aren't patient. General managers aren't patient for these head coaches. So you get a job, you might have a year, maybe 2 years, probably no more than 3 for the arrow to be trending upward, or you're going to be gone. So I think it really just speaks to their ability to establish a culture, establish the tone for what you expect, holding players accountable, but also showing that you care about them. I mean, I think it's the entire package for both of these guys. And yeah, I mean, are either one of them at their peak in terms of, thinking about when they last won a Super Bowl? No. But their teams continue to be competitive or contenders year after year after year. And I think that's something here in Baltimore. I've been critical of John Harbaugh at times when I think it's warranted, but I think you have to remember that perfection can be the enemy of good. And I think you got to be really, really careful to not take these types of coaches for granted because, all you need to do is just look around, in your own division. Look at the Cleveland Browns, for example, in most of their last quarter century. But it's tough. It's really tough to win and win over the long haul. So when you have a head coach who shows a certain aptitude for doing that, I think you've got to be very careful to not take that for granted. And you certainly want to appreciate that. And I think most fans here in Baltimore, while acknowledging, yeah, you want the success in January, you want another Super Bowl, but you've got to get there first, and that's where the Ravens have been so good under John Harbaugh.
Luke, as we begin to wrap up, you mentioned Lamar Jackson, obviously. Let's talk about the talent around him. DeAndre Hopkins comes in. Obviously, Zay Flowers is a major factor there. You mentioned Mark Andrews coming off a disappointing end to the season, and obviously we talked a lot about Derrick Henry. How would you assess the skill position around Lamar Jackson?
I mean, I think it's excellent. I mean, could you get better at receiver, like in the context of are they like a top 5 wide receiver group in the league? Probably not, but they're certainly worlds better than they've been in the past. I mean, Zay Flowers made the Pro Bowl, his first Ravens wide receiver to make the Pro Bowl. Rashad Bateman had a breakout year finally as more of a deep ball threat. You mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. They don't need DeAndre Hopkins to be the number 1. They need him to be a number 3 receiver and win on the outside and make some contested catches and be an option for them in the red zone. And I think if that's your expectation for him, it works. Mark Andrews is in a contract year. There should be plenty of motivation. Isaiah Likely, the understudy, and almost becoming more 1 and 1A in terms of their top 2 tight ends. So the skill talent's terrific. Lamar Jackson's coming off of the best statistical season of his career in my mind, certainly as a passer. I mean, you're talking about someone who led the league in yards per pass attempt and yards per carry. I mean, let that marinate for a moment. So there's plenty of talent around him. I think the big question is just the offensive line. They've got the guard spots are still a little bit of at least a relative weakness, let's say. But the skill talent is more than good enough for this team to win a Super Bowl. It's like I said, they need to get back to that stage, and they just need to execute on that stage. I mean, it's not something on paper in my mind that they're lacking, and I certainly think they have more than enough skill talent to get the job done.
Luke, 2 minutes to go. Final Ravens question. The division. In years past, you and I have talked, and it was really anybody's division. There appears to be some separation now. The two teams that have quarterbacks compared to the two teams that do not have quarterbacks. I mean, is it as simple as that? Is it Cincinnati versus Baltimore for this division?
I mean, I think so. I mean, obviously, Pittsburgh's waiting on Aaron Rodgers, I guess. You know, what is Aaron Rodgers even at this point in his career? I mean, so I certainly have my doubts there, despite the fact that it is Mike Tomlin and it is a Pittsburgh defense. So I won't completely dismiss them, but I think it is Baltimore, Cincinnati. And I think the Ravens are a cut above everyone else because, you know, Cincinnati, as much as you love Joe Burrow, you love Chase, you love Higgins. I mean, I don't think anyone thought they were going to extend him, and they did. But what about that defense, which, oh, by the way, their best player, Trey Hendrickson, it's a contract dispute, and there's all kinds of volatility with that situation. I just think the Ravens have the most balance. I think, you know, as much as, you know, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, you can call it a toss-up if you want. I'll take Lamar over Burrow, but I think it's very close, and certainly you'd be happy to have him. But I just think the Ravens are the team that they check more boxes. They check the most boxes in this division. So I think the Ravens are the clear favorite. They deserve to be the favorite. But Cincinnati, you know, if they figure out their defense, I mean, I know they've got a new coordinator. They've changed up some personnel, but that defense was awful last year, and it cost them. You know, it's the reason why they were sitting at home in January. But, you know, I think it's pretty clearly, you know, those are the two games that you circle on the calendar. I mean, still Ravens-Steelers as a legacy, but Ravens-Bengals, you know, that's the big one. And while I still think the Ravens are, you know, in my mind, a pretty clear favorite, Cincinnati is certainly going to be in the mix. And you got to, you know, both these games last year, they came down to the wire. And you just think if those results had been flipped, what would that have meant for the division and the playoff field? So I have to keep that in mind. But I just think the Ravens are the more balanced team. And, you know, I certainly like them to win this division once again here in 2025.
Luke, leave us with this. Give Jaguar fans 60 seconds on Patrick McCarry.
You will love his versatility. I mean, the price is the price, right? Free agents, you're typically overpaying. You know, I can't sit here and say that I would have had the Ravens match that to keep McCarry, but he can legitimately play all 5 offensive line spots. Not all of them at an all-pro level, but when you consider injuries, when you consider only having 48 guys active on game day, that is a very valuable commodity to have. He's a good locker room guy. He's, you know, more a lead by example guy. He's not going to be rah-rah. He's a good media guy, so reporters, you know, will like him from that standpoint as well. But he's just someone that, you know, he's not the final piece that's going to put you over the top, you know, in terms of a playoff team per se. But he's someone that you're going to line up and he's going to play and he's going to post up and he's going to, whatever you're asking him to do, he's going to do the job for you. You know, he's a guy that'll be missed in Baltimore. And as I mentioned with the Ravens offensive line, with having some questions at guard, he stabilized the position for them last year, a position that he hadn't played before. And he started, I think, 14 games, 15 games, whatever it was, and did a great job. So Patrick McCarry, wherever he winds up, and it might be 3 different spots knowing injuries, I think Jacksonville will be pleased with him.
Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore. Luke, always appreciate the time. Thank you. We'll talk again soon, pal.
This is 1010XL.
You're going to love this.
More Jaguars, more Gators, and more Jacksonville. 1010XL. Jacksonville is listening.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
Pick it here with a game winner. It's Checkmate Coatings. I've scouted them all. And this Jacksonville crew's the real deal.
I'm Brendan, owner of Checkmate Coatings. We transform pool decks, driveways, and patios with pro precision.
Score big at checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
Let PGA Pros straighten your morning drive with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser on Brunch with the Tour, Tuesday morning at 8:30 on 1010XL. Teed up by Apex Roofing and Contracting and Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentist and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? Topdressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit topdressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with topdressing.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080. This is Hayes Carline, and I'm so proud of my guy, Leon Searcy.
Man, I used to want to eat all the time, but just 1 month on Physicians Guided Weight Loss, and I've already dropped 15 pounds.
And I lost 25. No side effects, just results.
The GLP, one curbs my cravings and keeps me feeling full. It's been easier than I expected, and I feel amazing.
Their staff is great, and best of all, no surprise costs.
If you're ready to bring sexy back this summer, visit pgweightloss.com.
Physician Guided Weight Loss, safe, doctor supervised.
And it works. Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
What does it mean when someone says the continental United States?
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners insurance rates when it's time to renew. Before storm season, log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote or find an agent in your area.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The continental United States refers to all United States in North America. Hawaii is in the southern hemisphere.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to Luke Jones, WNST Radio in Baltimore, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark, as that will wrap up our AFC North previews. We've made stops in Pittsburgh, in Cincinnati,